My son came home with a black eye. He said, "The man said if I told you, he'd hurt mom next." I dropped to my knees right there in the doorway and held his small face in my trembling hands. His left eye was completely swollen shut, with deep purple and black bruising spreading all across his cheekbone and down toward his jaw. He was only 7 years old, and someone had done this to him. I asked him what man did this, and he immediately started sobbing hysterically. He said through his tears that he could not tell me anything, or the man would somehow know about it. He said the man watches everything we do and hears everything we say. My wife came running from the kitchen when she heard our son crying so hard. She let out a horrified scream when she saw the condition of his battered face and immediately scooped him up into her arms. She started firing questions at him, asking what happened and who did this and where it happened, but he just kept repeating the same terrifying phrase over and over again. If he told us anything at all, the man would come back and hurt mommy next. I told my wife to take him inside and get some ice on his face while I went outside to check the entire yard and perimeter of our property for any signs of trouble. I walked every single inch of our fence line and checked behind every bush and tree looking for anything unusual or out of place. Nothing seemed wrong at all. I went back inside and pulled up the security camera footage we had installed last year after a string of break-ins hit our neighborhood. I started scrolling back through the footage from earlier that afternoon and watched my son walking home alone from the school bus stop about 3 blocks away from our house. Everything looked completely normal at first. Then a dark-colored sedan pulled up slowly right beside him on the sidewalk. The car stopped and someone inside rolled down the passenger window and started talking to my son through the open window. I watched in absolute horror as my 7-year-old boy then opened the car door and climbed inside with this complete stranger. The car drove away with my child inside, and my heart nearly stopped beating right there in my chest. The footage showed the dark sedan returning to our street roughly 20 minutes later. My son climbed out of the passenger side looking absolutely terrified and shaking. He ran toward our house without looking back while the car sped away before I could make out any details about the license plate number. I called the police immediately with my hands shaking so badly I could barely dial the numbers correctly. 2 officers arrived within 15 minutes and took statements from all 3 of us. They reviewed the security footage carefully, but the camera angle was just wrong enough that we could not see the driver's face or the license plate numbers at all. All we could confirm was a dark 4-door sedan with heavily tinted windows. They tried asking my son gentle questions, but he absolutely refused to answer anything they asked. He just kept crying and saying the man would know if he talked. One of the officers called in a detective who arrived about an hour later. The detective pulled me aside into the garage away from my family and said this situation could potentially be very serious. He asked if anyone had recent grudges against our family for any reason at all. He asked if we owed money to anyone dangerous. He asked if my wife had any former boyfriends or co-workers who might want to cause her harm. I said no to every single question he asked because none of it made any sense to me. That night I sat up in the living room watching the security camera feeds on my laptop until the sun came up the next morning. Nothing suspicious happened all night long. No cars drove by slowly. No figures appeared in our yard. The next morning I drove my son to school personally, rather than letting him take the bus alone. I walked him all the way inside the building and spoke directly with his teacher and the principal about what had happened. They both promised to keep him within sight of an adult every single moment of the entire school day. I picked him up myself that afternoon right at dismissal. He seemed calmer and reported no new injuries or frightening encounters. I started hoping this nightmare was finally over. Then around 8 that evening, my wife's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. The message said, "Tell your husband to stop investigating or else." Attached was a photograph of my wife taken that very morning at the grocery store. The picture was clearly shot from inside a vehicle in the parking lot. She started hyperventilating so badly I thought she might pass out on the floor. I grabbed her phone and tried calling the number. No answer. I texted demanding to know who this was. No response ever came back. I called police again and they traced the number to a prepaid burner phone purchased with cash. Complete dead end.